Hello Year 4, and you're joining me today for our reading. So, as you know, last term we've been looking at The Suitcase Kid, written by Jacqueline Wilson. And we've been really enjoying this book, especially in my class. Okay, so right now, I want you to have some thinking time, and I want you to think about who is the main character, what has happened to them, where have they been, how might they be feeling, and what are the main events in this story. Okay, I'd like you to pause this video, chat to someone if you can, maybe write some things down, your favourite parts of the story, and then rejoin me, okay? So, the main parts of this story are that the main character, Andrea, is quite upset because her parents have decided to divorce. She lives with her mum one week and her dad the next week, and she's finding it really tough. She wants to go back home to their cottage, Mulberry Cottage, but she can't. She has a toy rabbit, doesn't she? And she confides and talks to her rabbit, but she's feeling quite lonely. Okay, we've been following her on this journey. Now, I'm going to read the next chapter of our book, and this is called H is for Haiku. Now, I'm going to read this, and when I stop my sentence, feel free to stop your video and read it along with me, okay? And really be working on our expression. Remember, when we're reading, we want to sound nice and fluent, and we want to get in that beautiful expression. We want to scoop up the words together rather than reading like a robot, okay? So if I read the first sentence to you, H is for Haiku. I wish I was in Mulberry Cottage. Doesn't sound as good as if we put in the expression, because we know Andrea really wants to be back at the cottage. We might say, I wish I was in Mulberry Cottage with Mum and Dad and Radish. That's a haiku. We did haikus in English. When the teacher said that we were going to learn about haikus, we all got excited because we thought it was going to be like Kung Fu. But haikus are little Japanese poems. She read us some, and there was one about a garden in the moonlight with a willow and wild berries. I started listening properly. I decided I like haikus a lot. In my dreams, I am as small as my rabbit, and I am safe at home. That's another haiku. I live with Mum. I live with Dad. I live with Radish. Can't we join up? And another. Okay, so here you can pause the video and try and read this section with as much expression and fluency as you can. Remember, when we're in class, we coach each other. We improve that vocabulary. So I want you to do that to yourself at home, or you can find someone at home to help you practice that. Okay? Now, as we know, when we're reading, sometimes we come across words that we don't really understand and we don't know the meaning of. So we need to use different techniques to clarify. And I wonder if you can remember some of the ways that we clarify. For example, we could use a dictionary. We could look in the dictionary for the definition of that word. But if we don't have the dictionary or the internet to look things up, how else could we figure out the meaning of a word? What else can I do? So we know we can look around the word. We can read a sentence, read around the word and try and figure out what it might mean. Another way is looking at the word class. Is that word a verb? Is it an action? Is it an adjective? Is it describing something? Or is it a noun? Is it a thing? So for example, the word haiku. Now, lots of people might not know what that means. So let's try and clarify it. I can see that haiku in this book has got a capital letter. Haiku, haiku, haikus, haikus. Why do we think that this word might have a capital letter? When do we capitalize words throughout sentences? Why might we do that? Proper nouns. We use capital letters for proper nouns when something is the name of a person or a place, when it's a proper name. Okay, so I'm thinking that this must be the name of something. So I know it's a noun. Now, I'm going to have a little look here. We can see from this sentence, haikus, we all got excited because we thought it was going to be like Kung Fu. So we know that Andrea doesn't actually know what this means either, but she does give us a definition later. Can you find it? Read this section to yourself and try and find the definition of a haiku. Pause this video and have a look. Okay, some of you might have found it. In this book, it says that a haiku is a Japanese poem, and I can see that over here. Oh, a Japanese poem. And I can see that over here. But haikus are little Japanese poems. So we know that this must be a poem from Japan. That means that the culture was born in Japan and people now use it all over the world. So it is a type of poem that was created in Japan. Now, haikus are Japanese poems and they have specific structure. And you can see that in each of these. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. They also often use similar phrases. So I can see here, I am, I am. I live, I live, I live. So she's writing some small poems. And in this section, we learn that Andrea really enjoys reading and learning about these poems. I'm going to come back to haikus in a bit, so remember that. Okay, so I've got some more words here. I've got kung fu, willow, and wild berries. Now, I need to have a think about what these words might mean. So let's have a think about kung fu. Now, in this book, it says, haikus, we all got excited because we thought it was going to be like kung fu. So kung fu, again, must be a noun because I can see the capital letters. So she thought it was something else. She thought it was kung fu. Now, I've got a little picture here to help you. If you don't know, you can look in a dictionary, look on Google, or you might want to talk to someone about what this word might mean. I'm going to show you a picture, and I'm going to come back to you, okay? What might kung fu mean? What might it mean? Okay, so kung fu is actually a Chinese martial art. It's a style of fighting that originated in China. So Andrea actually thought that she was going to get to fight in class. Instead, in her English class, they were learning about poems. Thank goodness, not fighting. Okay, the next word is willow. And it says here, she read us some. And there was one about a garden in the moonlight with a willow. Now, I know it must be a noun because a willow. It's got that determiner. So it's in a garden. What do we find usually in a garden? In the moonlight with a willow and wild berries. What do we think the willow and the wild berries might be? Again, you can use a dictionary, Google, or you might want to have a chat or just to think yourself. It's in a garden with a willow and wild berries. So a willow is a type of tree, as I'm sure lots of you guessed or knew, and they can be found in this beautiful garden. So they can see wild berries growing, which means that they grow outside naturally. People have not planted them there, they've just grown themselves. And we have got a willow tree. Okay, so she's been reading all about this haiku where people are looking at willow trees and beautiful berries. And that is when Andrea realized that she really liked haikus a lot. Why might she really like haikus? We need to have a little think about why might Andrea really like haikus. Why might she like them? Why might she like a haiku? If she said here that they started talking about wild berries, well, wild berries, what kind of berries does Andrea like? Mulberries. So that might remind her of the wild mulberries that grew around her cottage where she lived with her mum and her dad when her family was still a unit. So maybe when her teacher said wild berries, Andrea thought, oh, I remember berries. That reminds me of my home. And she started paying more attention to the haikus and even wrote her own haikus. So I have got some questions here for you. Number one, How does Andrea's second haiku remind us of her life? And number 2, why do you think Andrea likes writing haikus? And we've spoken about that a little bit. So I would like you now to start thinking about these questions, writing down some answers and talking about it, and think, why are these haikus so important? So before you go, we'll read them one more time. In my dreams, I am as small as my rabbit, and I am safe at home. Here's another haiku. I live with Mum. I live with Dad. I live with Radish. Can't we join up? So here we can see that she has written some haikus about specific people. Okay, so I want you to be thinking about this and then get back to me with your answers. I'm excited to read them. Thank you very much, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.